Hi guys, this is Ryan with Mama on Mission, and Misty is back for those of you who've been asking. And we are going to be starting a parenting series. It's going to be kind of just scattered throughout my channel. We're not going to do them back to back, but this first one is actually going to be about parenting through hard times, in specific through special needs. And I specifically do not have a kiddo with special needs, and we haven't really even at this point, by the grace of God, gone through anything very hard with our kids. So I thought she would be the perfect person to tell you about this because she does have experience in this. And there's things in the gospel that aren't just black and white. You can't just look up special needs in the Bible and know how to deal with a special needs child. Obviously there are things that are in his word that can help you. But other than that, you just kind of have to rely on his spirit and trust the God in you to help you through these things and rely on the experience of others. So I thought I would give Misty the time to talk about her journey, and I'm going to ask her a few questions after she shares kind of what she has gone through. And maybe this will encourage you if you are in a similar season in your life.
For those that don't know, I have a son whose name is Jacob, and he is 12 years old now. He's a great kid. He has a wonderful personality, and he's just a lot of fun to be around. He doesn't know a stranger. He's super social. He does not get that from me. But we noticed some things in his early years that were a little bit alarming, but not until someone pointed them out. He was not great with eye contact. He had a lot of sensory issues. Like, he did not like playing in mud. He did not like dirt. He did not like socks and shoes. There are all these things that we just thought, he's just kind of quirky, whatever. But then as time progressed, he was in a preschool setting, and it was all just super overwhelming for him, and he started being super aggressive with his classmates and peers and teachers. Oh, the teachers, Lord bless them. So while we were at that preschool, they highly recommended that we have him tested. And of course, that news, like, oh my goodness, there might be something really wrong with my child, was like heartbreaking. And like all this uncertainty came in, and like fear and just, because we didn't know what it could be. So we had him evaluated, and they came up with the diagnosis of Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum, but it's high functioning. However, his behavior was out of control. So going into school, he had an IEP, and, he still does to this day. But we have seen so much growth in him, and he doesn't punch people anymore or throw his desk over. So we have walked through a lot of hard seasons, and him not understanding why friends don't like him, or, why people look at him differently. And so it's been interesting. And then, in his younger years, he would throw tantrums, and we would be walking through church, and he would just take off and throw a huge tantrum, and people would look at us like, you need to get your kid under control. So it's been quite a journey. But
do you have any specific scriptures that have either helped you as a mom through the emotions of going through this, or maybe have helped you with knowing how to deal with Jacob in specific?
I would say there's a verse that talks about how the Lord doesn't give us more than we can handle. I don't know where it is. Can't tell you. But that helped me a lot, especially in the season where things were really rough, and we were getting phone calls daily from the school about his behavior. And I was just like, Lord, you say you don't give us more than we can handle, and I know that this season is going to end, and if it doesn't, you'll give us the grace to continue pressing on. But for Jacob specifically, I would say Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, give you a hope and a future, or something like that. He is not defined by his disability at all.
Right.
So I see the Lord just growing him in so many ways, and I am so excited to see what he does through him in the future.
You kind of mentioned this earlier, but how have you had to deal with others, whether it be friends of his that had trouble understanding him, or other parents' judgment, or other parents even help when they see him acting differently?
It's such a tricky situation because they don't know what they don't know, so you can't, you can't get mad really.
Right.
But I think the most important thing for parents that don't have a child with special needs is educating yourself and then educating your children. Because if your children don't know and they've never been exposed, then they react
Right.
in a not positive way. So we've had the conversation with all of our kids and Jacob's friends, letting them know that he thinks differently,
Yeah.
that he communicates differently, that he gets overwhelmed by too much noise and too much light and his clothes. And,
Right.
just having the conversation, I think, is a huge part. That's all. Just being graceful and patient and,
When I know it's probably not always easy sometimes,
No.
especially if it comes at the cost of hurting your child.
Yeah.
People say things that they don't realize what they're saying, and it can be hurtful to him, and then you want to take your mama bear.
Yes.
I can imagine that.
And I have. I am not perfect. I am far from perfect, and I have definitely lost it a time or two.
Yeah.
Honestly, my mom had a really hard time communicating with Jacob and disciplining Jacob when he was under her care. And I finally just had like a conversation with her about getting on his level and understanding that like he doesn't process things the way that we do. So again, it's just having the conversation.
Yeah. And kind of related to that, how has this grown you?
Well, in so many ways. It has grown me in patience. It has grown me in my love for others and seeing the good in others and not their limitations.
Right.
It has grown me in communicating,
Yeah.
which I am still not great at. And it's given me a bit of boldness to be able to stand up for my kid, which I would not have ever done before. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. And lastly, what advice would you give to a parent who is in the throes of a trial with their child? Or if someone maybe has a child that they have to parent differently. Because I know as much as you try to treat Jacob kind of like everyone else because you don't want him to be defined by his disability, there are times you have to treat him differently because of how he processes things.
Yeah. Knowing the season that you're in with your kiddo is so important. Like with Jacob, he has to know ahead of time if we're changing anything in our schedule. So he's gotten a lot better at adjusting, but in the early years, it was letting him know 30 minutes ahead of time, we're going to go to church in a little while. And then 20 minutes, we're going to go to church in just a little while. And in 5 minutes, I need you to get your shoes on, or whatever. Just walking him through and not just expecting him to be ready to go, but really just preparing him.
Right.
And, if he's too overwhelmed to do something, we don't do it, and I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, but that's what has worked for us. Right. So just picking up on his cues and being sensitive to his little nuances, that has helped a lot. And I guess to the parent that's going through a trial, like this season, I can't say it will end, but it will get better. It will get better because you'll learn how to adjust, and the Lord will show you what it is that you need to change as long as you're sensitive to the Spirit. So, and you're in His Word and all that good things. Community. Community is important. Don't feel like you can't ask for help.
Right.
because I did that a lot. And I felt like, it would be such a burden for people to keep Jacob because he was difficult, right?
Right. Yep.
She kept him. She
Yeah.
knows. Like, it was not easy. But you also can't do it all. You
Right.
also need time to rest and refresh, and you'll be better for it, and they will too. So
Right.
just don't lose sight of you
Right.
in the midst of the trial, I think is my,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's very important to, because that can not only define your child, but it can define you. And there's strength in knowing that you're not alone, and that there are other moms and dads dealing with a special needs child or even a fully disabled child, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a huge spectrum of things, but that doesn't mean that's all you are. And it
Right.
doesn't mean that, you can surround yourself with people like that to get encouragement and help. But that doesn't mean that's the only, clique you can ever be in. And that's
Right.
the only, that's not your life. That's
Yeah.
a part of your life. And you can still, grow as a parent. You can still grow as a believer.
Yeah.
You can still, do whatever God's called you to do. It's just going to look a little different for you.
For those of you that do have kiddos in the public school system, like we have Jacob, be your kid's advocate. Like, fight for what you believe is right, because you know your child better than they do. You're, like, you've been with them since birth. So fight for your child.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. Even if it makes them mad, do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely worth it.
Yep.
So if you are going through any sort of trial with your child, hopefully this has kind of spoken to you where you are, especially if you have a child who has, issues similar to this. And just be on the lookout for more parenting videos. There's at least one more that I can think of that I know Misty is, I'm going to ask her to be a part of. I shouldn't say I know. I'm going to ask her to be a part of. And then some of them, I might have another friend come in. I haven't talked to her yet, so I'm not going to put her on the spot yet. But and then some will be just me. So look forward to those, and I will talk to you later. Bye.